Welcome back to Day 3 of All-Star Paris 2014 and the start of our second semi-final series between SK Telecom T1K and Fnatic. That crowd is crazy and they're looking forward to this series. Let's start with SKT. They are undoubtedly the strong favorites. They've delivered in every single one of the games that they've played in thus far. They have been the strongest team at the All-Star event in, I think, every aspect of the game. You've never felt like they were at risk of losing their match. If there has been one weakness, though, I do feel like Piglet and Pumandu have shown times where they can get control, times where they can get put into negative situations. Fisher, what's your take on SKT and them in particular?
So the laning phase for SKT, when it comes to solo laners, has been very strong. Also, Bengi has been showing up this tournament. Bottom lane wise, though, for Piglet and Pumandu, I don't feel like together they've been the strongest dual lane. Maybe it's because of some synergy issues still, where Piglet had to play with Casper earlier, or Pumandu maybe not performing as well as he could. He's been, in my opinion, probably the weaker of the two, especially when it comes to laning phase. But when you go into team fights, when you go into the mid-late game, Piglet at least has just shown he is so strong. He's the AD carry with the highest KD as well here at All-Stars, and he's one of the best AD carries still.
Well, just from watching T1K historically and seeing the difference between Casper and Piglet and Mandu and Piglet, it's really big. Casper was the better laner, that's for sure. We saw this at Worlds, too, with sometimes Piglet and Mandu losing their laning phase, and it rarely happened when Casper and Piglet were together. However, their decision-making and initiations are better with Mandu, generally speaking. So it's been kind of a back and forth.
Yeah, depending what you're looking for, laning or shot calling. On the other side of the rift, Fnatic, they have been a polar opposite to SKT in this invitational. And even though they've had moments of brilliance, that's all they've been, is moments. The problems have been compounded by mistakes in every single game that they've played, ranging from individual misplays to poor strategic decisions. They've lost multiple games while going even or even being ahead in certain situations. What's your take on Fnatic, Crepo?
Yeah, I feel a lot of the mistakes Fnatic make are actually made a minute or so before that already. They show up in situations where they can't make any other plays at that moment because they didn't play the map correctly. A lot of the times we saw that one game instance I remember is Rekyl's holding a wave too long on bottom lane instead of immediately pushing it out. Then he has to react to what's going on in mid. He pushes it out, which is the right call. A little too late, but then he doesn't push it out entirely. What that happened there was that Jax rotated into bot lane, held that wave frozen. Okay, what does Fnatic need to do? Break that freeze as soon as you can. But what did they end up doing? Letting it be there for 4 waves and then going in there and break the freeze. So they're too slow to react and their mistakes manifest in the future a minute later.
Well, it's just that lack of planning, like you're saying, and Reckless in particular. I mean, this is an extremely mechanically sound player, but the decision-making, like you're saying, just isn't there for him. And the worst part of what he's been doing is he's been pushing one of the side lanes, but he's awkwardly splitting the difference, where earlier, like you're saying, a minute earlier, he has a chance to group on maybe an outer turret, but instead, we've seen him push to an inner turret, but not push quite enough to actually break a lane freeze and then leave, and that's created a lot of frozen farm opportunities for his opponents. And that you have to pick one or the other if you're an AD carry, right? And instead he's picking neither, and it's really hurting Fnatic.
Old double lift.
Yeah, old double lift, it's true.
Yeah, Fnatic feels like it's interesting because you talked about Mondi versus Casper, where it's like one win lane, one makes good calls. Fnatic is like the team version of that, where like individually they generally all play really well, and you saw them winning their game against SKT. They had Cassidy and they had great individual plays, but they're not coming together as a team.
So while I agree with them, the pre-planning is not there, they also seem to then be surprised when something good happens, and then they just over-chase or be over-aggressive. Like, we see it time and time again. They pick up a few kills, start chasing, and everything gets turned around. And they even sometimes go 2 against 4 people just because they get a bit greedy for more kills. If they do that against SKT, if they give them anything here, it's going to be so hard for them to win.
Well, the players are set up on stage. They're in the lobby. We should be getting underway with the series shortly, but it is time when we ask the analysts to look approximately 33.49 minutes, 33.49 minutes into the future, which is the average game length of the game share at the Invitational. Just a rough guess, give or take. And we need to find out who you're predicting to win this series. Let's keep it somewhat brief. Deficio, is it going to be SK Telecom T1K to face off against OMG, or will it be Fnatic?
So while I love the scarf here for SKT and they were beautiful, I will not wear it just in honor of Fnatic and Europe, but I will say SKT is going to win.
Oh, wow. going against your fellow countrymen.
I know.
I'm surprised. Here, just bring your face up here. You shed one final tear for Europe. My SK Telecom muggin.
Tastes good.
T1K, let's go.
Crepo?
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't have any fancy props, scarves, or tears. I'll just savor on these tears from the previous prediction. Just stay at the same height. But yeah, I don't think SKT is going to win this best of 3 in one game. I feel they'll need at least 2, so it'll be a little longer than 30 minutes. But yeah, SKT T1K.
Yeah, for me, Monty, I think your sense of predictions are better than sense of geography, being that there's no Danes on Fnatic. But I do think SKT are, unfortunately for the Europeans, are the stronger team.
Well, we'll see how they handle themselves in the Rift. Let's take a look how the fans have been voting over at lolesports.com. And 65% of you guys have voted with SKT. It is a smaller percentage than the desk, but it is one that is pretty unanimous. Before we head over to the caster desk, let's hear from Fnatic about what it means to play in front of this passionate crowd that stands behind their hometown heroes, win or lose.
We've been traveling all around the world to play, but I believe this is the first time I actually feel that the whole crowd is behind Fnatic.
You win or you lose, doesn't matter, you still go out there, still scream your name, and that kind of cheers you up.
Every time is awesome, and this time is even better because there is so much more people than usually.
The crowd has been really insane here, so when they're cheering really loud, it's really good to like demoralize our enemies.
그거는 저희가 로드컵 때 TSM 팀과 좀 겪어봐가지고 그 로드컵 때도 많은 팬분들이 TSM 외쳤을 때도 그냥 저희 경기만 열심히 하자라는 생각을 했기 때문에.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. So, SK Telecom, you just heard them. They cheered in front TSM they were against last time around.
That was the home crowd
advantage. That was a much smaller crowd than they have here. You can hear them. Fnatic are ready and waiting to go. I am, of course, Lee Diamond Smith, and for the next semi-final series, Joshua Jack Leesman will be joining me at this caster desk. What do we think is going to go on here? Because this was a crazy game yesterday.
Honestly, if anything would take SKT out of their groove, it would be the noise of support against them, which even though it did happen a little bit at Worlds in the group stage, it was nowhere near this level. I feel like that's one of the only hopes Fnatic has.
Well, let's check out the starting lineup. So, starting out, the #1 team in the groups, it is SK Telecom T1K. In the top lane, of course, is Impact. He has been a monster. Bengi in the jungle. Questioning him, but Faker, is he the best player in the world? Who knows? Piglet, the AD carry, and of course, Pumandu in support. That is SK Telecom T1K.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to hear me for the introduction of Fnatic, because I know the crowd will go crazy. On the red side, it is Fnatic right there. Top lane is Soaz. Jungle is Cyanide. Mid lane is XPeke. AD Carrols is Reckless. And of course, support is Yellowstar to make up Fnatic.
So they are clearly the hometown favorites. But of course, we want to talk about...
In a second.
It's pretty clear which way this team is. However, they're big underdogs. So we want to talk about our featured matchup for this matchup, the semi-final series. The Clash of the Titans is, of course, the mid lane. It is SK Telecom's Faker versus Fnatic's XPeke.
Yeah, and Faker looks to be completely back in peak form, if you can ever really say he was in a slump. But it's more impressive yesterday when he destroyed Xiyang 1v1, because Xiyang had previously destroyed everyone else in this tournament. Faker is back on his game, and Bengi is helping him out a lot more than he was in Champions. Meanwhile, XPeke has looked extremely inconsistent and seems to be playing with kind of that lack of confidence, which used to kind of define him as a player. They played really safe against TPA as well in their only win of the group stage. There's no way he can play safe against Faker and expect a victory.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do we think is going to realistically happen here? Because if you were to look at yesterday's game, it kind of wasn't really telling the full truth. It was kind of mind games, honestly. Or more a fan service, I think you could say, from SK Telecom.
Yeah, absolutely. Because in that game, it was SKT trying to pick all their skins. I feel like that's why they let Kassadin through, which was Peke's big bread and butter champion, and they still weren't able to win. which is a real tricky thing for Fnatic.
Close.
Yeah, they did come close.
Very, very close. But of course, SK Telecom, don't expect them to be running all of their skins this time around. I think we're going to see some very different champions. Of course, they pulled out the Zed in the mid lane with Faker's known champion, but we'll find out which way they will go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second semi-finals. We saw OMG from China already making it into the final. Who will join them? We'll find out over the next best of 3. So SK Telecom starting off the bans, and they will be coming in. Jack's being taken away. We just saw him being played in game 1 for Cloud9. Not going to sneak through this time around, and that immediately stops those skins dead in the tracks.
Yeah, and the Twisted Fate ban for Fnatic is a little bit surprising. Faker did have a good Twisted Fate game at the very start of this group stage, and if that signals anything to me, it's that Fnatic is going to be going with a either heavy poke strategy or a split push strategy, as they always do, obviously. But Twisted Fate is best against both those things.
Well, you can see the final bans coming through. There's already a Twitch locked in. Leona already taken away. Kassadin taken away. Quick fire picks and bans. LeBlanc was the final choice, of course. Faker not going to be able to play that one. But you already see a Lulu and a Kha'Zix on the board as well.
And this is kind of what we ended up seeing in the Cloud9 OMG pick and ban, where Twitch was left open, but now it's going to be all about whether SKT builds a team comp around Twitch, because when Sneaky got caught on Twitch in game 1, he had no one to really guard him, and it was very much an unprotected team comp, which is why with that Lulu pick right away from Fnatic, it will give kind of take away protection from SKT, because they won't be able to have that mid lane Lulu if they wanted it.
Yeah, and of course Cyanide on the Kha'Zix. It's kind of his #1 champion right now. It's the champion that he has been running for Fnatic probably, I would say, like 80-90% of the time over the last probably 20 games.
It fits right in with their play style, and he's also been able to pick up a lot of early kills on Kha'Zix, which honestly would be better served as assists, because Cyanide has never been one to really hard carry the games, but it's still an incredibly confident and strong champion for him. I feel like Fnatic's going to go something like Nidalee here. Is Lucian still up as well? Yeah, they could go full poke comp, kind of like the one that they won the European LCS with.
Speaking of comfortable champions, Bengi has got Lee Sin. He has his own skin for it. Why not? He earned it. Faker, of course, already locked in that Shyvana for Impact in the top lane, who has been a monster throughout this tournament.
Yeah, the things with Impact, it's not necessarily that he's been destroying everyone. Well, that's exactly it. He is destroying the enemy top laner. I didn't mean to say it's not like he's going off. He's keeping the other people down, more so than I've really seen from him in his career.
Yeah, he is a beast. Reckless. Well, he had incredible stats in the opening Super Week in the European LCS on Jinx. Will he stick with it, or will he stick with the tried and tested Lucian, who has become his most popular champion over the last few weeks, along with Yellowstar? Fnatic at the moment are actually getting a lot of picks they really like.
They're looking a lot like a Cloud9 team composition before the final pick, because that's really when it's going to sell it. Peke's not one to play Lulu often.
And Soaz has played a lot of Trundle, you know. It's a bold.
I just have to mention this Yasuo, because it's almost like SKT is predicting an Italy pick.
So, Fnatic had some serious problems against Yasuo. Invictus Gaming ran it at Katowice. They could not deal with the crazy aggression that came out. We've not really seen it in Europe. Some strong Yasuo players. So Kautar's the only one really that plays it. We'll see how Faker runs this.
The thing is, with Fnatic, they've played so much Nidalee, and that's what teams pick Yasuo into normally. But this is the Kayle pick. Here's the thing. Right when Yasuo released, he does not block the auto attacks from Kayle. He blocks all the other ranged champions' auto attacks, but not Kayle, because it is not a projectile, so it will go through the wind wall. Even though Kale's been nerfed down, that is a great pick against Yasuo.
But this also answers the question. Soaz and Shy were having this discussion. Who's the best top lane? Lulu, Shyvana, Lulu, Shyvana, Lulu, Shyvana. We're going to see them together. Whether they're actually going to face each other at any point is a matter we'll have to find out in the game. But Fnatic honestly have got a team comp that they enjoy, and I feel SK Telecom have as well.
Yes, I absolutely agree. The Zyra from Pumandu is a little bit of a throwback. Yes, he did play it again in the group stage, but that was mainly to use the skin. This is serious. There's no way that SKT is going to be taking this match lightly or as a fan service.
Absolutely.
They're taking this to win.
This is all about representing Korea. You heard it there. They was talking about how they are basically coming to this tournament, not only representing SK Telecom T1, they're representing the whole of South Korea, and they absolutely want to win. So, the match is about to get underway. we're going to head over to Twitter and tell us which mid laners play style generates more big plays. Pretty sure you know which way this one's going to go. Hashtag Faker or hashtag Peke. Don't forget, Peke has some of those big, crazy backdoor moments. Send your tweets to @LOL Esports, and this could be a crazy game.
It's going to be all about whether Peke can play with a lot of confidence against Faker, or whether he's giving him a little bit too much respect. Even though Fnatic is an absolutely monstrous underdog, no one would be surprised if they lost this game. But if we think back to the group stage, even though Fnatic did go 1-3, every single one of their games were winnable at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Baron, that was the difference. Cyanide stepped out of line just a little bit. He went to clear the ward instead of staying back to clear that Baron. Could have turned the game, could have turned the competition on its head, but it wasn't to be. We'll see if it is this time, ladies and gentlemen. The semifinals is getting underway. SK Telecom as the blue team up against, well, you can hear it, it's Fnatic as the red team.
Right off the bat, I have to wonder if we're going to see standard lanes or if we're going to see a very roam-focused game. It's actually kind of funny. When Fnatic plays to their European LCS championship level, they're pretty low-kill games. They do not like to engage the other team. They like to just run all around them, never have true fights. And this is a very much their type of team comp. No real tank. They have a lot of support for Cyanide, but he's actually free to build damage. It is a very difficult strategy to pull off, which is why you actually see them in position to win a lot of games, but then they just make some type of misplay and end up losing.
I think Soaz is going to try and bait Impact a little bit closer. You can see Yellow Star hanging in that bush. Not going to happen, no, not falling for it. They're happy to just go in, get that deep ward placement. They have actually warded out fair, not that deep. No. In all essence, they are just going to go straight for the full invade. So this is actually a reverse, though, because they're in the blue jungle. Cyanide is going to have to solo this blue. It's going to be a tricky one for him. You can see him down that bottom lane, but it would be an even trade if they can make it count.
Yeah, I really wonder if Cyanide would have the gall to go into that jungle pretty much blind. He doesn't know where anyone could be, and that's actually what teams with Zyra generally do early game, is wait for someone to invade, because it allows someone to walk into the grasping roots if they decide to check. I think Cyanide is just playing defense and is going to be looking for a standard jungle start. He actually is a little bit late to his buff, and a late invade from Fnatic.
Late invade comes in, Dark Binding lands on Impact. They didn't actually notice it because it was in there, but Beng is forced to flash away. Impact caught out with the Glitterlands. Is there enough damage coming through? I'm not too sure. One more Glitterlands will come through, but they're going to force them away from the blue.
Even so, this is absolutely huge. There's actually another contestant going on the other side. Fnatic steals one blue and secures the other.
Wow, great start by Fnatic straight away. It does mean, of course, we're going to have some lane swaps coming in as expected. Peke and Faker in this mid line. This one will be an interesting one, because if they do go with the 4-0, if they do go with some sort of stacking system, Faker versus Peke, it's going to be all or nothing between the two, because Faker's going to have the confidence to know there's no jungler coming towards him. Yeah. He can just go all on Peke.
And also, there's not going to be too many ganks coming in that early because of all the time that got spent during the jungle invades. But this is very heavy counter jungling going on for Fnatic. SKT actually took 2 Cloud9 buffs at the start of the game, going 3 for 1. And this is Fnatic giving SKT a taste of their own medicine, actually.
Well, Soaz hasn't backed away. He has got that blue buff, remember. He's going to put damage back down on Impact. He wants to keep Impact around as long as possible, because the longer Impact stays, the better Soaz is. It means he's going to try and keep him low on levels. Reckless is freezing the lane. He's not really, well, it's not freezing it, it's just not going to push heavily. He's not fast pushing in towards there, which actually SK Telecom are doing down the bottom, I feel.
We're seeing much more starts like this in the All-Star here, where it's not the 4-man stack, but instead it's a more denial-focused of lane swapping. They're really just getting secured farm for their 80 carries. They're only taking 1 turret, and it's more about jungler denial and mid-lane isolation than it is about fast pushing.
Well, Peke goes aggressive. Faker turns it round, but he had a big stack of minions hitting him in the back, which actually laid down a lot of that damage, and Peke using that exhaust early on, though.
That could actually be pretty big. He's going to need that exhaust if anything comes at him, especially a Bengi jungle gank. That's one of the big reasons that Yasuo was so popular in these heavy lane swaps places, because he's able to use his dashes offensively in lane, bait summoner spells, and have no force of, retaliation from the other team.
So this is what we've seen a few times now from Fnatic. Soaz actually he's literally just roamed all around the jungle, and now he's looking. Faker goes aggressive. Soaz is just over the side now. Glitterlands does not land. A fantastic win wall from from Faker to stop that Glitterlance in his tracks, and he gets away. It forces the flash, and the Ignite was also burned from Faker.
That was very timely roam from Soaz. He has just been a jungler slash ganking Lulu right now. Not exactly what you're used to. He's behind on farm. If Soaz doesn't make something happen, more so other than burning a flash, that will cost Fnatic in the long run. But for now, it gives Peke breathing room in mid.
Block of that wind wall, that would have been the death. It would have absolutely slowed him down. He had the flash still available, but it would have been a very, very slow move. And of course, Peke sitting on that flash still could have chased. Impact only just hit level 2, has had to come in and try and clean up some of those last hits to steal them away from Faker. You can also see Bengi moving in now. We haven't seen Bengi around that mid lane because they were focusing on taking that turret, which actually Fnatic only just did. So both turrets now down, top and bottom. And we're going to see the duo lanes going up against each other.
Yeah, and after all the trading,
or will we?
Even though it seemed like Fnatic would have a nice lead from that, they ended up just getting even gold. What's so funny about this is the whole debate between Soaz and Shai when they were talking about Shyvana and Lulu, what's better? Soaz is like, better in lane, better in lane. This isn't the lane game.
Soaz caught out. He's not going to get away from this one. It will be first blood. That was a quick kill from the duo lane of Piglet Mandu.
And that's exactly it. It's not about the laning phase for her. She just got camped in one of those side lane brushes and taken down. You're not allowed to play against Shyvana in a game like this.
Oh, it's a good turnaround of damage from Peke. Oh, is he going to follow through? He has flash, but he's not going to go for it. He's so fearful. He has no knowledge of where Bengi is.
That was Peke playing cautious, quite honestly.
Is that a confidence?
When we showed it in our featured matchup, and old Peke would have flashed for that kill if he was full confidence. A chance to kill Faker. Too much respect for SKT, quite honestly. I think that could have been a kill. Well, unless his E was off. I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah, he just run out. He just finished off
now,
there.
Speaking of which, he's getting ganked, which would crush his confidence.
You can see Bengi waiting off at the side. Cyanide is close by, as is Yellowstar. Now they know he's going to be coming. They're going to catch on towards the tower. Here comes a dart bind. It lands on Piglet. Cyanide pounces for it, but Reckless cannot get close on this one. The poison's ticking. Is it going to be enough to take him down? No, he's just safe.
Still actually saved his flash, but now SKT has a strong push down on the mid lane. Again, pushing him back and giving Yasuo actually breathing room. The roaming really is crazy in this game, D-Man.
So you can see Mandu making his way up there. Reckless on his own at the moment against Impact. So Mandu, if he lands that grasping root, it's going to be all sorts of trouble. Instead, he will sidestep the damage. He has to use the heal, though. Impact gets enough on his back.
Yeah, luckily for Reckless there, Impact is so weak at this point in the game. He's level 3. Even if the root would have landed, it might not have been a kill. Does have to burn his heal to get away, and it ends up sending him back to base. But no death was suffered.
So Piglet's been having to run amok a little bit down that bottom lane. Got that kill on Soaz, trying to start one on Peke. Peke, who himself did not back, by the way, with that engage. Still got himself that double Doran's ring, though. It's going to have to try and get a little bit more hit points or something to prevent Faker from jumping on him. That Vampiric Scepter now built up. And SK Telecom, they're roaming, they go for blue. So
many roams and invades in this game. They have sight of it because of that Q. He jumps in. It's a smite war.
It's the Cyanide's going to get it down. Bengi's going to use the safeguard on Mandu. Will get himself away cleanly, but it forces the blue away from Peke.
That's one thing Cyanide will always be able to do, is land those smites in clutch situations. But once again, it's all about the roaming. A teleport Lulu in the top lane, they're trying to catch.
Soaz comes in on towards him, gets the Glitterlance down. The Pixie's on him as well. Has he got much more damage? He forces the flash. That'll do.
Whoa. If only they would have known that binding would land. Nice shot for no reward. And a big push down middle lane. These rotations are faster than I've seen in quite some time.
Piglet comes out the side, has got level 6, rat-a-tat-tat running, but Peke luckily just hit 6, so he can use that vulnerability to save the day, and actually saves the turret briefly.
Fnatic is desperately trying to keep up with where SKT is going right now. How many different lanes has Mandu seemingly arrived in the past 5 minutes? He has just been everywhere, and he's not even behind in experience on top of it.
Triple Doran's ring being picked up by Soaz. That just shows you they are trying to keep in this game against SK Telecom, despite the fact that you could look at the gold. It's actually fairly in between them. Cyanide caught out by the grasping root. Dark Shield was used. Mandu taking a big burst of damage. And again, the wind wall comes out to stop the culling.
That wind wall is going to be extremely key if we get into some of these clutch siege situations. Whenever Fnatic tries to turn, it will be the spell that throws up to help them escape. Then they can rely on the Zyra slower form escape. Crowd controls right there And now an invade coming from Fnatic because they just pushed SKT off mid.
And you know, just before all of those lane changes, everything was happening, it was very even between Reckless and Piglet. Now look at it, 72 to 60. Oh, Cyanide pounces, forces a flash away. Meanwhile, back in the mid lane, Peke again getting taken low. Piglet flashes for it, the poison's ticking. I'm not sure it's going to be enough. It may be on Yellowstar. No, he gets away as well. Fnatic by the skin of their teeth. Cyanide and Soaz yet to be safe though. Faker and Impact chasing on towards them. They will back away. The Glitter Lance doing work.
Very little summoner spell discipline, so to speak, in this game. People blowing flashes very freely. Look at that. SKT has 1 flash available on their entire team, whereas Fnatic is actually only down 2, and those just got burned. If we're going to continue to see all these movements and people getting caught out, those flash cooldowns are incredibly critical to keep in mind, as the gold is only 500 away.
And the difference you can see between those two top lanes was Soaz had got himself a fairly decent CS advantage. That's going to dwindle away, but because he invested 3 Doran's rings, that's effectively going into nothing, whereas Impact, of course, with the Negatron Cloak, don't matter whether he's behind in gold, he's actually ahead in items.
And Soaz is really still playing to lane, even though there isn't really a laning phase. This game will hopefully approach some pretty decent team fights, and with the triple Dorans, if they could force a dragon right now, it would be very beneficial.
Yeah, Bengi, as you just saw, next to no health. He can't get involved in this one. He's going to go back. He's just got himself that red buff. This will be a dragon for Fnatic.
I gotta say, D-Man, it's probably the fastest paced 1-kill game at 11 minutes that I've seen all year. These guys have been moving around so much and just avoiding kills. That evens out the goal.
And it's just 1 kill, 1 drat, 1 turret. It's not even like turrets falling left, right, and center. They're just the 2 turrets they took at the opening plays. Fnatic moving into position. They want to try and corner the rat.
This is the first big move that Fnatic has kind of made on their own accord. It's not a reaction to SKT. We have to see if they can get something on Piglet. He's really safe behind that minion line, though. Unless he roams just out. Yellowstar wants him to, or they might just go before the minions. Can even get a binding down.
Pumandu's going to join him back on there. Cyanide's going for it. Stealth up, goes in, gets the damage down on towards him. Piglet's actually taking the path, which is going to put him in danger. They pounce on towards him. They can't see where he's going to go. Mandu's going to be the focus target instead. They're going to switch around towards him. The exhaust goes down. They should have enough damage. Teleport coming in. They don't know. Yellowstar's in trouble. He has to try and get out of it. Teleport was cancelled, but Cyanide's caught out. Bengi's going to come around. He's going to surely get the kill. Knocks him away. Faker manages to follow through with his ult. He takes him down. While Piglet took down Yellowstar. Reckless is in all sorts of trouble. Now you can see the wind wall going down. Intervention comes out from Peke. Peke can't do anything. This is in danger of falling to a 4-for-1 situation, and it is. SK Telecom turns the game on its head. A triple kill for Piglet.
Everything going in the way of SKT in that bottom lane fight, but what about the top one? Soaz needs to close this down.
Trying to chase on towards him, but he has that burnout running. He has the Dragon Descent. He should be safe for now.
To get back to that other fight, 4 kills going to Piglet is disaster. As far as Fnatic is concerned, he is the stealth bomber, so to speak, when he gets his build going with the Blade of the Ruin King. Let's take another look at this one, though, how he barely escapes this. This is why Fnatic wanted to wait for the binding, because going without the binding means Piglet could walk away and get that off. But we don't have time for replays. This game is too fast.
So Ash tries to turn it around. He tries to take something out of nothing here. The Ignite running, though, is not going to save his life, and Impact gets himself in there. Pumandu actually picked up the kill, though.
Another step behind for Fnatic, and that makes it 6-1 at this point.
You know, one thing always said in traditional sports is the best way to beat a home opponent is to silence the crowd early, and listen right now, this is a much quieter crowd. We're only 12, 13 minutes into this game. It's already 6-1 to SK Telecom. They have started out so well. This could be dangerous situation for Fnatic in this best of 3.
I mean, this is really what everyone on Fnatic, and probably everyone here, feared, is that SKT would come out so quickly and stop Fnatic before they even had their chance to win. In all 4 of Fnatic's games in the group stage, as we mentioned, they had a chance to win the game at some point. They were up on OMG. They were even with Cloud9 for almost all of it. The SKT game, mind you, because they had the SKT skins and they gave Peke Kassadin, they had that Baron play that very well could have won them the game if executed properly, and of course they beat TPA. They haven't had an opportunity in this game because SKT has been so fast, roamed around so well, and really just beaten Fnatic to almost every punch.
You know, focusing on how much they've invested in those Doran's rings. The Doran's items which obviously never progressed into anything. SK Telecom never went down that path. They only ever had 1 Doran's blade a piece, and they've all continued to invest in items. Now that they're ahead in the game, that is giving them an even bigger advantage than that 2,000 gold shows.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. With the early game Doran choices not really panning out early for Fnatic. The ganks don't stop either. There's a Lee Sin on the hunt.
Oh, Bengi's going to come into the side, as you say. Impact is already on him. Soaz has to use that wild growth, but is it going to be enough? Glitzerlance lands on Bengi. Dodges out of the Sonic Wave. It may just be enough because the Impact, his Dragon Descent's going to run out in a moment. He's safe to the turret. He should be able to get away, but Peke's in trouble. Faker comes around. Windwall actually used to stop him, slowing him down. Uses the intervention. Cyanide comes around the side, but it was a quick and easy kill for Piglet. 5-0 Rat.
Fed Twitch right there, and even with the intervention, you just can't get away fast enough. He's just going to keep shooting you. If you get a bit out of range, he pops his ultimate, continues to shoot you. This SKT team came to play today.
And with everybody basically melee damage, AD damage, those turrets will go down so much faster this early on. 15 minutes into the game, that mid turret already down.
Yeah, normally a team without Twitch doesn't have good sieging power. It's fine if you kill everybody first, then you can take down a turret just fine.
That's for sure. Soaz now in trouble. 3-man gank team coming towards him. Make that a 4 because they backed off at the side. Grasping Root does not land. He's dodging just about everything he can. He's going to try and turn this on towards Bengi. Can he get the kill? Not in time. And that's another kill for Piglet.
As far as kill distribution goes, this could honestly not be any better for SKT. Not only are they up 4,000 gold, but it's the Twitch that they need when he comes out of stealth at this point, because everyone on Fnatic is also very far behind. They're just straight up dead.
I wonder if Peke is going to try and create something here. Cyanide's just off at the side. Fumandu's going to be the focus target. A squishy support is exactly what you need to try and get yourself back in there. They're going to try and double it up there. You can see Stranglethorns going down. Cyanide will take that kill because, well, simply put, Peke doesn't have much damage yet.
Kale takes a really long time to scale up. It's pretty good in the laning phase if it's isolated and lasts a long time, which it just simply hasn't in this game. Fnatic has got no room to breathe.
Being next to the no laning phase, that's the big issue. And, you know, we talked about it at the World Finals. Oh my word, doesn't need any help on this ulti. He goes in himself 2v1, and he may well get the kill. Soaz is going to go down. Reckless doesn't want to get involved. Dark Binding does not land, and Faker gets himself for Soaz.
Yeah, Faker is also in a scary place right now. Static Shift Berserker Greaves completed and farming up a storm. I really feel like this game is very quickly getting out of hand, and the thing that actually surprises me the most about this is in the group stage, the one lane of SKT that wasn't really performing was Piglet and Mondu. Faker was doing fantastic. Impact was shutting down enemy top laners, and Bengi had looked better than he had in a while. But it was actually the Twitch that did. We're taking another look at this one just to see getting the knock-up into double knock-up by Faker there to put both people in an unsafe position and then immediately going to the guy who didn't get the shield was a smart choice by Faker right there.
And you got to think back to when Peke could have pulled the trigger early on in this game. These confidence issues, how much they may well lead into the situation. And, you know, looking at OMG's match against SK Telecom, they were not showing that respect to SK Telecom. They were not scared. And you only need to listen to all of the interviews. Everybody, you know, basically giving so much praise to SK Telecom. Yes, they are. They were a fantastic team. At the moment, they were technically in a slump, and you should, as a pro player, go into these teams confident in your own abilities and not be fearful of what you're up against.
You really have to just play as if you are the best. You always see a lot of times in sports, the really arrogant players are often the best ones, because even if they're outclassed, they don't feel like they're outclassed. And that can often just allow them to perform much better, especially on big stages. We just saw the Cloud9 versus OMG game, and yes, Cloud9 did amazing in the group stage, and it was ridiculous that they were able to go 3-1 and even make it to the semifinals without High. But in that last game, it really felt like their nerves got to them. We saw way more missed skill shots than we've pretty much ever seen from those guys, and they looked sloppy. Cloud9 almost never looks sloppy. That's something that we don't see from SKT on a stage like this because they've been to multiple Champions finals in Korea. They've played on the Staples Center and won. And since they've already slumped, they're on their way back up. They're just so confident right now.
So as Wild Growth used just about saving his life, they're actually thinking of going back in for this red buff, and that's not worth a flash.
It hit the small red.
Oh, wow. Oh, Yellowstar, they're trying everything now. They want to get themselves a kill on Faker, but it's not to be. Intervention goes down, but Faker's just going to run amok through this team, and in comes Rats once again. It's another double kill for Piglet.
That just kind of adds insult to injury right there. Not only do you flash to hit a small lizard at the red buff camp, you get 3 kills in front of Baron. We got to take another look at this one. Unfortunately, Faker left that little guy up. I honestly feel like he almost did that intentionally. Yellow Star was waiting for him. And then he goes just far enough to pull everyone else into the SKT team. Zyra plus Twitch, it is a corridor of pain right there for Fnatic. After that fight, the Baron went down as well. SKT absolutely dominated.
Yeah, game over, I feel, in this first matchup. 2-0-6 Faker, 8-0-1 Piglet. It is really a show of force, I think it's what you'd say in America, is how you tend to go into these situations, and SK Telecom are really showing how strong they are. We talked about how they'd come into this matchup, super serious, and I think it's showing right now. This is a dominant performance by the world champions.
Yeah, they always show up to these global events on a mission, and it's a very difficult situation for Fnatic to be in, obviously. Playing in front of their home crowd, even though it does support them, is a lot of pressure for these guys. And even though Fnatic, we were talking about this earlier, even though Fnatic won the spring split of the LCS, it was one of their least convincing LCS victories that we've seen, because they had such a substantial slump in the middle of the season, and even though Fnatic did come together in the finals, it kind of seemed a little bit like they just stumbled upon the right champions. They picked a really nice poke and heal composition that other teams weren't ready for, and could kind of just individually roam around, throw spears, never fight the other team. That worked for a little bit, but it's definitely not working against SKT or the other teams on the world stage.
And it's a worrying sign that is developing, honestly, for the European scene, as well as maybe in the North American scene. Right now, though, the European scene definitely seems to be in a little bit of a slump, with nobody really making clear goals, nobody making clear strides in that league, and the fact that Fnatic are 3 times split champions. Piglet almost got out. That would have been a handsome trophy maybe for Cyanide if he could have collected it, but an 8-0-1 Twitch absolutely will be worth the gold.
And he's doing that Ghostblade Bladed Rune King build that we saw in the previous set from OMG. This is what Twitches often do when they get really far ahead, because even though it's not the most spectacular late game scaling build, it really guarantees that any solo person from the other team, oh, real unlucky not getting that one down, any solo person from the other team is starved of farm, or they're just doing it completely unsafely. He'll open up Ghostblade, Blade of the Rune King, and since they'll mainly be squishy targets trying to farm, he'll just instantly kill.
And this really is showing, you know, obviously it stems from that triple kill down the bottom that Piglet picked up. That was really the big
Which
point.
was honestly a pretty close fight.
It was a very close fight, but again, as we saw at the Worlds, SK Telecom read the situations. Fnatic were setting up that kill a long time ago. They were in the bush. So a sidestep in the Dragon Descent, using that Wild Growth. He may get out of this one. He's a slippery sucker, but the slow comes in from Piglet. Has to force that flash away. But what I was going back to was the fact that they always read these situations. And this telegraphs right back to, I would say, you know, MLG New York. When we were there in the arena, this was the first time Korean teams burst on the scene against North American teams. And just back then, all the way back then, when I was actually there with Monte Cristo and we were talking about how they were predicting what was coming beforehand, reading the situation and getting that one step ahead, and it still persisting.
Yeah. What we saw the start of this game was ridiculously fast, and Fnatic just hasn't been able to keep up long term. Bengi, though, does go a little bit deep, gets out with his life.
He did it yesterday. It almost worked this time around. Went a little too far, but with a Baron on SK Telecom, they're happy to push in on towards this inhibitor turret. You can see the damage is not really going down on it because they're looking to see if they can make those picks early starting off. Stranglethorns bounces Pekka in the air, intervention already used, remember. That's safe for Cyanide's life. Cyanide himself trying to get him towards Pumandu. Does pounce across, but can't even get the kill on the support. Faker, meanwhile, sidestepping once again, gets out. Cyanide hasn't got the lifesteal. Yellowstar did manage to take down Impact in that fray, and SK Telecom backing out with next to no health, but you've got to feel it is only a matter of time.
Yeah, it's a 10,000 gold lead with Baron buff at 23 minutes into the game. There's a Piglet as well, on to Reckless.
Piglet trying to sneak in there, the stealth assassin, not unable to take him down, and that's pretty much only down to the fact that he has that singular dash available.
Yeah.
Ooh, cheeky, not going to be enough though.
SK Telecom right now are kind of just going through the victory motion. We'll take another look at this fight where they get a little bit too deep. Unfortunately, Mondu has the turret on him, also a Kha'Zix, so when he flashes away, the team really gets split up. They wanted to execute a full dive, but unfortunately the Zyra got isolated and they wanted to prevent that from happening, so then they got trapped in between the turret, and that's the main reason Impact went down. Not a huge loss though overall for SKT.
Faker almost caught out there. A very big bug in Cyanide with the wild growth on him is going to head off out there. SK Telecom, while they are in a gigantic advantage, we did see yesterday and have seen through signs through the groups and in the champions, when they do get ahead, they do sometimes get a little bit reckless.
Absolutely. Bengi yesterday and his Lee Sin game at the very end was just trying to fly into the base on his own. Died once, got away the other time. And I really feel like SKT is just going to play with a lot of freedom right now, more so than anything else. Yes, they may make a few mistakes and give up a few kills, but they have the ability to. They're actually so far ahead that they don't need to play their really good vision denial game where they bait fights at just the right moment because they are that much stronger. They're going to bait 3v4s.
Well, Cyanide already using that ulti to try and get down towards Bengi. Quickly gets kicked back. They have next to no damage going on towards him. That's not enough. It's going to get blocked up. Faker at the side. He's just dueling Cyanide. Cyanide has to leap away, but he's going to quickly get flashed through. Faker gets himself one. Gets the ultimate down on towards Peke. Peke in ultimate to trouble. Intervention was already used, so Faker gets himself the double. Can he move on through the rest of the team?
And that was without their 8-kill Twitch, which is what we were just speaking about, how SKT can take fights down men because they're just playing with freedom right now.
They're just pushing straight through that mid lane. They've got the minion line. The rest of Fnatic out of position. Yellowstar's the only one close by, and he can't get involved in this fight. That's going to be the inhibitor to it. The inhibitor will follow. I don't believe Fnatic can defend it.
And what's a game like this going to do to Fnatic's confidence when they were already low on confidence, D-Man? Because they actually played the very first start of this game pretty well, but have since just gotten obliterated and taken out at every part of the map.
In comes Piglet. Pumandu actually stealing the kill away.
Might as
Don't think
well.
they're going to be too worried about that. 8-0-3 on Piglet right now. 2-2-12 for Pumandu. And we also heard about, Faker's found himself another bunch of kills. There's
That's a party, though.
Ultimate, look at that. Peke is in all sorts of trouble. Intervention was used. They finally get Faker down, but it took 3 of them.
There was 4 of them, actually. He killed 2. A 1v4, and then Piglet tries to show up to the party. He's like, what, Faker, you didn't burn his ultimate? And he just takes inhibitor afterwards.
Yeah, not happy about that one. Still not sticking around for that inhibitor. Delaying the game, making sure the minions are with them. Not that they need them for an exposed inhibitor, but they will clear out the pink ward as well. SK Telecom, full control of this one.
The Yasuo mechanics right here by Faker, dodging the first binding, going right past the black shield, and then just flying in past the guy with intervention to try and do as much as possible to Peke. Because the ultimate actually does damage on the way down, that's how he was able to finish off that kill with Yellowstar. I'll say he planned it.
He seemed to. Yeah. I mean, it was Yellowstar. He originally started on, forced that intervention out of Peke, and then said, thanks, got himself a free target.
Oftentimes, Yasuo is very exhaustible because his ultimate will do damage on the way down. So when people get knocked up by it, they throw an exhaust in, and then it stops them on the way down. They didn't have an exhaust up for that fight, so death.
Death ensued. So Faker 6-1-7 finally dies out there. 8-0-3, the immortal Piglet so far in this matchup. This first game, in this best of 3. OMG already in the finals. SK Telecom, are they a shoo-in to get there? Everybody on the analyst desk believes so, and judging by this opening performance, it was a very wise choice.
Yeah, they're making a statement here in this game 1. Previous best of 3 had a very close game 1 between OMG and Cloud9. After SKT drops this one out, obviously they change sides in the best of 3s. Fnatic will get their chance at first pick, even though honestly their champion select here looks pretty sound as far as Fnatic team compositions go. They got to try and counterpick against Faker's Yasuo. They did give up the Twitch though, that's one thing.
And that is possibly a big problem for Fnatic. The fact that they did get champions they enjoy. Piglet gets himself another, continues his legendary spree. Yellowstar flashes away. Is it going to save him? Not too sure. Soaz has actually found himself a target. Fortunately, it's 2 of them, Bengi and Pumandu. Cyanide pounces in. He's not going to be there in time to save the day. Piglet gets himself the inhibitor as well. Bengi, of course, got the kill. Cyanide now, he's locked up. He's going to come out of stealth in just a moment. While the rest of SK Telecom push on through for the victory on the Nexus. SK Telecom in clear style take game 1, 22-5. We feared this may be what will happen. SK Telecom, when they turn up, they dominate.
Business as usual in this game 1. 28-minute, 47-second game for them. Faker, Piglet, Impact, Bengi, Mondu, all of them performing. Fnatic's going to have a lot of thinking to do before game 2.
That was a very one-sided performance, strong victory, and clearly throwing down the gauntlet. Clearly to whoever they will face. OMG in the final. Will Fnatic be able to put up any sort of resistance in Game 2?
It's going to be really tough. I mean, you look at the champions they got themselves a hold of. Reckless on Lucian. Probably had the best game of anyone on Fnatic because he was somehow able to stay safe 1-1-2. But Soaz, his favorite champion, the thing, it beats everything top lane, 0-6-0.
He never got a chance to play top lane. He never got a chance to play anywhere.
Top lane. He did a lot of roaming around early, and the instant he went to lane, he got shut down by Piglet and Pumondu.
And so how do you deal with that when basically a team is saying, you know what, we're not actually really going to have a lane phase? Because 7 minutes gone, they were already all over the shop.
Teams haven't been able to answer that yet, quite honestly.
That's quite
because
true.
Every game we see SKT play, they, before any other champion on the other team, they shut down the top laner. Balls had like an 0-6 game on Trundle.
Yeah, he looked
worst game of the
throughout the tournament.
Exactly. So as exactly right here, 0-6-0. And Impact is a small part of that because it's actually a team effort to shut down the top lane, which has really not been adapted too well by the rest of the teams here.
Yeah, nobody seems to be able to deal with it, and maybe that answers the question, who is better? Is it Shyvana? Is it Soaz is Lulu at the moment?
Actually SKT.
It's SKT. It's the tactic itself.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do going into this game? We're going to hear from our analysts in just a moment, but what do you believe Fnatic have to adjust? I mean, obviously, clearly, there seems to be a lot.
Obviously a lot. I think the main thing they'd want to focus on is probably just get rid of Twitch. He's been the emerging champion of this All-Star event as far as domination. They also pulled out Soraka when it really mattered against TPA. Maybe something like that. Nidalee was available in this game. They didn't want to pick it against Yasuo. Kill didn't fare much better. Maybe just Fnatic going back to the exact things that got them here in the European LCS Championship, because what they just did wasn't even close.
No, it was not. We got Quickshot and the guys at the desk ready to try and break down that first win.
Thank you very much, guys. And yeah, we got to break it down. SKT, T1K, Abs.
I owe you an apology. I said you couldn't win a best of 3 in just one game, but I think SKT1 just did.
That's strong words, and I can't argue against it. If we look at the bigger picture, SKT simply outclassed Fnatic. I think individually they were playing better. Strategically, they had some very good moves. I want to go to some of the earlier game starts. Deficio, you felt quite strongly about some of the slow-pushing minion waves and the decision that SKT took to manage those.
So it's something SKT does really well, and it's one of the ways they kind of removed the whole laning phase part as well, because they will slow push, for instance, the bottom lane and rotate 4 members to mid lane. So they force Fnatic now to either come into mid lane and try and defend with 4 members, try and fight against SKT, or they force Fnatic to spread out in the lanes and give up a free tower. So it means they remove the laning phase and therefore just set up these picks as well, and they use the Twitch really well with this, because whenever he slow pushes bot lane, he then roams in stealth into mid lane, pops up, gets someone low, Expected for instance, he's back in base, they can take a tower, and it's kind of the opposite Fnatic normally does. We see Regis, we actually talked about it earlier, how he will push it pretty much all the way, build up a massive wave, push it all the way up to the tower, and then someone just comes and takes the wave from him, and it's too late for him to move. That's what SKT never does.
See, I just want to give the perspective of a player about why SKT doing what they do is so good, because initially if you watched what Piglet was doing there, it would be seemingly randomly he would move from bottom to mid lane, and a newer team would be like, why is he losing this farm? This wave's pushing away from him. He's gonna lose all these minions for free. But then SKT is smarter than that, and they know, yes, I'm gonna lose the next few waves because these minions will slow push. But by that time, I will be already pressuring mid lane, and at the same time, that minion wave is gonna hit bottom tower. If by some miracle top is pressuring it, well, they have pressure all over the map, and it's literally, and that's what I mean. This is a play that starts a minute before. Fnatic probably only realizes it. Hey, we need to defend mid. 30 seconds later, and then their mind needs to switch. How do we deal with bot lane? And it's SKT is planning these pushes ahead of time, and that's why they're such a good team.
Yeah, and I actually want to point out 2 things kind of related to that. Is one, actually, this is a tactic I also saw Royal Club do back at Season 3 Worlds, so this is something that, if these guys go to the final, something that OMG might be used to, but also you talk about the fact that they're pressuring something else. They're not just doing these like 4-man walk up to the minion wave siege situations. They're flanking around behind the turret with multiple people, so that either Peke is defending the turret and gets 4v1'd and dies, or he's got to go way the heck back, misses the entire wave of farm in the mid lane, and you miss a wave bottom, but they miss 2 waves mid, and you lose half the turret health. Like, that's just better.
And not only that, but we've talked a lot about keeping the top laner down, which has been a really core strategy for many, many teams in Korea in these lane swap situations. And you really have to realize that when your tower goes down, if you don't break the freeze pop properly, there's going to be a slow building wave coming out of the tier 2 turret. And it's up to the team that's going to be catching the wave at the tier 1 to really coordinate with the jungler to get up there so you don't get dove or zoned off the tower and lose all that experience in gold. Because that happens once, and the top laner's behind forever, and you're pretty much screwed.
Well, all of this lane controlling, wave, speed, tempo, planning is being done while SKT are still individually outclassing Fnatic. We actually have a replay of one of these moments. Let's pull this replay up onto your screen. It starts in the bottom lane. Freak, talk us through it.
So this to me is Fnatic not playing against enough Twitch to understand how he works. So Twitch, the stealth itself takes a second and a half to even kick in. And that's up to like 3 or 4 seconds if you actually deal damage to him during the fight. So that you have zero reason to pink ward the second you see Twitch, but that's what they do anyway. Let's roll the clip out and watch what happens. So Fnatic goes in. It's a really nice move. This is awesome. He stealths from the brush and gets the damage, but they immediately pink ward, which literally couldn't do anything. That pink ward's on the bottom side of the screen. So now Piglet stealth and hides in the brush. Now, at this point, they should know both teams rotating down, but Fnatic should know that there's no wards and no people on the red side jungle. So Cyna basically face checks Tribrush and walks right into Bengi, and then the Yasuo as well. So now it's a guaranteed 3v4, and it's just cleanup at this point. Even though both mid laners came down, the movement from Fnatic is off, plus the fact that they didn't pick off Twitch in the first place. So Piglet shows back up to pick up more kills during the fight. And it's a whole bunch of individual misplays of not picking up the kill and then going the wrong way after the first kill that SKT just shows up for and gets them all.
Yeah, a very difficult position to be in. Just before we move on to social media, one final question to Deficio. What on earth do Fnatic do going off stage now? They've got 10, 15 minutes to get ready. How do they go about getting ready for game 2?
So if I was on Fnatic, I would say which champion destroys rotations, which champion can clear side lanes, can stop these slow pushes, Ziggs. I would actually just pick Ziggs and just say, you know what, if you try and do the slow push, we're going to clear it with the ultimate, wave clear in the mid lane, and I would just try and go, so strong wave clear, and also something that can scale into late game and try and European style, go very, very, very late. Go an hour into the game or something where you have 6 items and where just a small mistake from someone in a fight can cost the entire game. And try and win this way, because clearly they won't be able to just fight SKT straight up.
Well, we'll have to see what they decide to do. As I mentioned, we do need to switch gears for a minute. Earlier today, we asked you to weigh in on our Twitter question. Which regional team's playstyle have you enjoyed watching the most and why? And you've sent us some great responses. So let's check out a few of our favorites and get some brief comments from our analysts. This comes from @Futons. I wonder if he's a bed. Cloud9's playstyle has been outstanding. Aggressive initiation and brawls from the ADC role makes for amazing viewing. Didn't help so much against OMG. What do you think, Krippa?
OMG had the right analysis there. Yeah, they're a very AD-centric team. Deficio called out earlier how much damage Sneaky does in fight. OMG just said, well, we'll pick Nunu, and every time you pop up anywhere, we'll just jump on you and kill you, and it worked for them.
Did indeed. Next one comes from @OmeDisaster. The Korean hype train playstyle. Aggression and unpredictable map movements equals GG. What do you think, Mr. Conductor?
Couldn't agree more. And like you're saying, Krepo said, it's very hard to predict where SK Telecom is going to go if you're not used to playing against these very tactical and subtle minion wave pushes. So.
All right, next one comes to us from @TheCuddleOfDeath. He says, definitely OMG. Their go hard or go home playstyle is very exciting to watch, and we know Freak has loved it.
Yeah, it's awesome. They go hard, they look for fights, they always, as long as they keep going for team fight comps, it works out for them. I like the aggressive teams, like the ones that make action, and it's fun to watch.
All right, our last tweet of the day comes from @It'sMigu-chan. Says, I'm torn between SKT and Fnatic. Their techniques were stunning, and yesterday's match between them two was breathtaking. Deficio, I think I know which one you'd pick if you had to.
I'll probably go with SKT when it comes to playstyle. But yeah, the game yesterday was very exciting, a lot of kills happening, and I actually like Fnatic trying to play more aggressive than we normally see in Europe here for All-Star, but SKT clearly got the best playstyle.
Well, we'll see how they can bounce back in game 2. Remember, you guys at home can continue to keep sending us those tweets, letting us know what you think by hitting us up at LOL Esports using that hashtag AllStar. I do want to give a shout out to La Zenith. The crowd has been fantastic. You guys are the MVP as per Reddit.
Yeah, earlier they were even singing happy birthday. Initially I thought it was for me, but then somebody notified me. It was Faker, sadly enough. But merci à tout le monde, vous êtes magnifique.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys so much. Now, SKT T1K are just one game away from facing off against OMG in the All-Star event finals. Can they take it in 2? Or will Fnatic harness the power of the crowd and force a game 3? We'll find out after the break. As we head out, let's listen in as Piglet picks up a triple kill for SKT in that last match.
Whenever Zephyr.
나 노플인데 이거.
살았어. 테드. 나 타야 돼 이거.
별 타지 바로.
나이스. 끊겼어.
카이스 봐.
아이고.
뱀풀 있어. 쳐. 타워가 튀잖아. 아, 내가 6이 아니라.
맞다 나.
얘
나이스.
힐 없어. 얘 힐 없어. 힐 없어. 케일 왔다. 천천히 하면 돼. 케일 노플.
천천히 하면 이겨.
케일 노플. 케일 노플.
네 잡았어.
케일 얘 노플. 나이스.
나이스.
다 잡았네.
나이스. 트리플 킬.